Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I wanted to give you guys a Sprint and T-Mobile merger update, but I also wanted to give you guys my opinion and see what you guys think about it, see if you agree, and of course, you can leave those comments in the comment section down below. So currently, we're on a big delay. If you've gotten to watch my recent videos in terms of T-Mobile saying they can no longer pursue the newly built sites and the 5G upgrades that are already outside of the allocation of what they currently have already spent on their current capital investment, then they had to completely stop those upgrades and new builds nationwide. Of course, we will still see upgrades and new towers that were already contracted for with the current capital investment, but these other contracts that were currently set up were already meant for this T-Mobile and Sprint merger to be completed. So the new T-Mobile was already going to have more money available in capital investment to fund those contracts, which they currently cannot. So I believe there was an article yesterday or the day before yesterday saying that T-Mobile is asking the courts to please pass this merger now and just throw that lawsuit that the state AGs have out of court. Because the video that I uploaded, I will leave a link to that in the description down below. I go more into detail. It's a longer video, but I go more into detail how AT&T now is pulling ahead of the smaller two carriers as they're trying to catch up to Verizon. So definitely check that out. Description down below. It's about a 12-minute video, but it's very informational. So right now it's becoming a cash race. Who has the bigger bucks, the more power? The big two are pulling ahead, and most analysts are predicting up to a 20% increase into next year's capital investment, which Sprint and T-Mobile cannot match as a standalone. They can't even match it. They probably couldn't even match it as a combined company, but since they have that spectrum and more money on top of what T-Mobile has already built, it's going to allow them to compete a lot better, gain more customers potentially because they have the capacity to fill, which in the long run will allow them to also spend more money in the future. But now the main claim from T-Mobile is that Sprint, as it stands with the debt and the cash shortage that they're having, they can no longer compete. They just can't compete. Now, my question is, and this is where my opinion comes into play, we're now looking at Dish Network becoming a fourth carrier if the T-Mobile and Sprint merger does get approved, which as days go by, in my opinion, is becoming more and more of a long shot as you really push the numbers and the analytics. It shows you right now, currently as it stands, Dish Network is a smaller company compared to Sprint. Sprint has their issues, they have their debt, but they're still able to spend more on a yearly basis if you're comparing that to Dish. So how is Dish magically going to become that fourth carrier that can sufficiently compete on their own without an MVNO agreement? That's my question, because Dish has set aside $10 billion for a 5G rollout, which of course they don't have to worry about any legacy networks because they're going strictly brand new everything. They're going right into 5G. And then the agreement that they made with the FCC potentially has them putting 70% of their network assets to use across the nation, which would still leave 100 million Americans without a fourth option. So this is turning into a bit of a mess, in my opinion, because Dish just wasn't the proper company to become a competitor right off the back. The MVNO agreement is good and all. I think they're going to be a price competitor, but right now we have a ton of MVNOs out there. We got Visible that's under Verizon, $40 a month. I saw a speed test earlier, somebody doing 224 megabytes per second under Visible. So there's no real separation between postpaid and MVNO, which is, prepaid. There's no cap on that. So Dish is going to have a tough time competing. I mean, yeah, they could probably throw in a bundle package and say, hey, for $70 you get unlimited this, and then you can get our TV package or whatever the case may be. But if we're talking a strong competitor that's going to be a self-sufficient network and compete as a fourth carrier, Dish is, in my opinion, right off the back, not sufficient. Maybe in the future, long-term future. Me and the source of mine, we did some analytics. 7 to 10 years is what it would possibly take, and that would barely put a dent into a nationwide network for Dish Network. Right now, the permits are still taking too long. It takes a full 2 years to build a cell site. And those sites, depending on co-location or brand new build, is going to cost 120 to 250,000. To get fiber on the site, to build the site, you got to put brick around it in some areas, so you got to hire another contractor. It's just a lot of money to build it. And Dish is not sitting pretty when we're talking the type of cash infusion that it's going to take to push that. So maybe are they going to wait after the 3 years and these other companies are going to try to create a partnership? I think that now is a very high chance. If the courts side with T-Mobile, they end up letting this merger go through, and Dish does become that fourth player. I do see them after those 3 years when they are able to look for a partnership actively. I do see them taking on an Amazon or Google or somebody with huge capex to really push that network and maybe speed up that 7 to 10 year process, as I mentioned. But other than that, I just don't see it. I just don't see Dish just, stepping in. I mean, even this time now, within those last 5 years that T-Mobile has expanded the network, they spent $30 billion on just doing that. And they're not even close to Verizon or an AT&T that's now pulling away. So where does Dish stand? Sprint has a standalone is much further advanced in that department. They actually have a self-sufficient network, although they can't really fund it much longer at the rate that they're going. They might have to cut back the capital investment to 2 to 3 billion instead of spending close to 6. But they still have some sort of network built that allows them to compete and actually pull in customers from the on the lower end side. So it's really tough, in my opinion, right now to see Dish as a viable fourth competitor. But they're really seeking a new business partnership, a new business venture, and that is what I want to say, because their traditional TV side is dying out. The Sling TV is being overtaken by Hulu by the end of the year. Supposedly their live TV service is really popular now. So Dish needs something else to get them going, and they have been looking at the wireless side. Their spectrum assets are okay, I would say, but okay at best. They don't have any millimeter wave spectrum, so they can't really push those top end speeds like Verizon. They are going to go strictly 5G, so I guess they would say they have a good amount of mid-band to push those 5G speeds. But from what I'm seeing, their licensing, they don't have anything close to even what Sprint has on that 2.5. So they could potentially have a better coverage network as well as what Sprint's claiming, but they won't have that generational leap in speeds. And right now they don't have any cash available to compete in any of these other millimeter wave spectrum auctions, because those are high-end auctions where you're spending in the billions. And if Dish were to spend $5 billion, then they would only have $5 billion left to roll it out. So, and is there even a return on investment involved for Dish? They can push all this into the network. They can get investors to come in, but when is the return of investment going to come? How long is it going to take to rebrand those stores that they're getting? Where they have to go in, they have to take down the sign, and then whatever, Dish Network, and I guess they're going to keep the Boost Mobile ones the same. But how long is that going to take? How long is it going to take to get a aggressive management team on the wireless side? How long is it going to take to get employees? I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's a big mess. And Dish really hasn't came up with a plan, like a structured plan where they say, okay, 6 months, we're going to do this, then we're going to do this next year. I know they have a certain mandate to uphold according to the FCC, but we're not really seeing much from that. So it's going to be a tough case at the lower courts to push this through, in my opinion, because the states are pushing that info to that judge. They're saying, hey, look, judge, this is how much it's going to cost to build these sites. This is how long it's going to take. This is how much money Dish has. We're looking at the analytics, looking at the numbers, and it's not looking good for them. So I just wanted to make this video. Like I said, check out the other video that I'm uploading as well. There's a lot of info on there. I will leave that in the description down below. I appreciate you for watching these videos today. They're a bit longer, but they're very informational, more opinionized. So I wanted to hear from you guys. If you agree, do you really see Dish as being a competitor? I know some of you guys are pro-merger. Some of you guys just don't like it at all. But just, from your honest standpoint, I'm not looking at any bias or anything like that. I just want to hear from you guys. Do you really think that Dish could even really compete within, the first 6 to 12 months of this merger being approved, if it does get approved? So definitely stay tuned to the channel, like, share, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload content. Make sure to follow all of my social media outlets for more updates. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.